Very welcome to yet another live stream here on the Mentour Pilot channel. As always, I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. So today I have a real treat for you guys. Today I have the honor of presenting one of the biggest travel bloggers in the world, Mr. Sam Chui, and we are going to have him for about 20 minutes or so make sure you make the most of it. I sure have a few questions that I want to ask him, but I want you guys to be able to ask him questions as well. So if you do have anything that you think is really important and you really want to ask Sam, well, then in that case use the super chat function. You know how to use it. That's the little dollar sign. It means that you're supporting the channel with a little bit of money, but it also means that it's highlighting the question for me so that I have a chance to see it, because I am expecting that there's going to be quite a lot of people in here because everyone is equally excited to see Sam. So without further ado, I am going to get Sam on the phone. Sam, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, Mentour Pilots? It's good to join you today, and it's such a privilege to be connected with you, with everybody during this difficult time here.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. You were one of my dream guests that I have been trying to get on, and it's so good that we managed to actually put this together. So, where are you at the moment?
So I'm in Las Vegas in US here. I'm actually stayed at Las Vegas since March when the situation got worse. So I'm with my parents in my parents' house. So I guess it's not as bad as a place to be stuck in compared to stay in your in-laws, right? So I'm with my parents here.
Yeah, no. It's actually a quite sweet place to be. So I'm just going to dive straight into it because I know that you are a busy man. One of the questions that I actually wondered myself, and one of the viewers have sent in a super chat question about this: how did you get into this? Because I think you had a fairly a good career already before you started with this AvGeek things.
Yeah, I was always I had a great career in finance and economics. So I was working in one of the largest world sovereign wealth fund. A lot of people consider me working in investment banking or in the investment industry. But along the way, since I was young, I always loved aviation.
Yeah.
So I had pretty much a classic mismatch of my job and hobby. It's being classic mismatch for a very long time. And not until 2000, probably 15, 16, I tried starting to do more YouTube videos, sharing my in-flight video experience. Then I got a lot more people appreciate what I do, and I got a lot more views. Then I realized you can actually align my hobby and my job, or you could make a living out of things you truly love.
Yeah.
And you can make a living out of your passion and truly love. So how I was then changed to pursue this because I realized this is probably a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm in the middle of that age. I was around 35-year-old at that time. And I was thinking, if I don't give this a shot, it would be too late. So I would rather take that opportunity. But obviously, it was also a calculated guess, as I see that I can support my family, I can support my living expense to do this. It's not a rash decision. It's rather a natural progression. When I was having this passion for so many years, for over 20 years,
yeah,
I built up with a lot of good connections with a lot of aviation people, with a lot of aviation companies, with connections helping me to get here where I am.
I can imagine, because it really takes balls to go from something that is a secure income into actually doing something that is aligned with what you actually love. Like that is not something that every people do, and you've hats off to you for taking the leap and doing it, because I think everyone is loving the material that you're putting out.
I think I've been just really, really lucky as well, obviously. But the importance is to stay true with my passion, and always think about what can you do with the resource you have in your hand.
Yeah.
This is not just about aviation. This is everything in life. You can create with using these resources. Think through, how to plan using these resources carefully and doing it consistently as well. And don't give it up.
No.
If every time you hit a roadblock, and then you're gonna overcome the next mountain, and there will be another mountain, and there will be another mountain, and then that's the joy of getting success after many times of failure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I've been trying to tell people as well. I mean, I started my YouTube channel about 4.5 years ago now, and it's very, very slow to take off. But as long as you do something you love, and the viewers can see that you actually love what you're doing, it will shine through, and the momentum will come, and eventually,
totally, people will notice the good work you do.
Yeah. So when it comes to aviation, Dan, what is your favorite thing that you've done so far?
That's a broad question. It's a good question. For aviation, I think first of all, I enjoy meeting many different people. Aviation people are very special. You are one of those. Many of people into aviation knowing in aviation, people don't work just for money.
No.
Because people work because it is a passion. It is something they truly enjoy, going to work to do things. The people who work for money, or those who realize there is not much money to be made in aviation, they will go away. But the people who work 20, 30 in the lifetime in aviation is because of that passion. The love of aviation drives that.
Yeah.
So that's the difference first. There's a lot of profession for our young viewers to choose a career. You could go into law, you could go into medical school, you could go into finance, banking. Aviation is very unique here. It's a very globalized thing. That's what I like about it. It connects me with many different people, many different cultures around the world. And excitement also builds up every time when you step on boarding a 4-engine 747 or a DC-8 or a lot of different different aviation models. Antonov 124, you name it. There's a lots of different aviation planes out there. I think all of them, they feel the same, but it's not.
No.
Excitement is every time when you board a different airline model, different airline, different aircraft.
Yeah, listen, I saw a video of yours where you were flying one of the few remaining 707s out there. Now that is an absolutely gorgeous aircraft, and I would have loved to have a chance to get a go on that. What did you feel? How did you feel when you were flying that thing?
Yeah, I when I found out in 2004, 16 years ago, there was still a Boeing 707, passenger 707 flying around the world. Then I was telling myself, I got to do it.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was 23 years old. I have never been to the Middle East. Then I went to Iran just to fly on the 70. I knew nothing else about the country, nothing about Middle East. All I knew, I want to get on the 707 because I realized it. After the retirement of the Concorde in 2003, the next most exotic tickets in the world, 707, a passenger version.
Yeah.
That 707 lasted until 2013, 7 years more, and then it retired. Now it became a tanker in the Iranian Air Force. So for me, it was a very thrilling experience. I'm rather glad that I had that vision. Just knowing that let's get out and do it, like to know tomorrow,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that brings me to another question. How do you choose the kind of things that you do for your channel? Like what brings you, I mean, I saw, for example, that you went on the Project Sunrise flight between Sydney and London, which must have been absolutely awesome. But how do you come up with I mean, there's so much happening in the aviation world. How do you choose?
Yeah, it's really, it's a really interesting question because sometimes it's driven by events. When that event happened with Qantas is in November, so I got invited by Qantas Media. They recognized I can create good content, and I absolutely loved it because it's a record-breaking flight for flying this long on a non-stop basis, and I would love to do. I guess for generally my content is always driven by I want to be mixed up with diversity. You will have the luxury flying. You will have classic 707 flying. You will have media timing sensitive flights like the Qantas. Then you will have aviation models collections. You will have aviation graveyard. You will have plane spotting. Because for me, these are all the stuff I can relate to myself because I truly enjoy this stuff. It's like I don't really have a set plan. A lot of times, because these are my passion, I follow my heart, and I sit here and wondering, I look at something, somehow I came out with an idea. Oh, I have a lot of great 707 footage. Let's do a video on the 70 to show the people, to show especially the younger audience, what is it like? Because being an aviation content creator, I also felt that I have a responsibility here to make sure to let the new generation of people know, like, how does the Boeing first jet looks like? It shapes the future of the future cockpits, of the future cabin design.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long way, and I would love if I have a personal experience to use those personal experience to illustrate and to let people know and then share with people that experience I have. You know, it will benefit down the line with a lot of newer aviators.
See, I think that you're doing a great job there as well, because I know that a lot of people get inspired by you know, the videos that content creators like you, like me as well, are creating.
Thank you.
And it is. Sometimes it is what kind of lights the flame, you know, the aviation bug in people, and then makes them either go in for a professional career within aviation, but in some cases also just, you know, continue to feed the passion about it and traveling, and like you say, see other cultures and get in contact with other people, which is so important. So what has surprised you the most? If you can come up with one time that something has happened that you got really surprised, is there something that comes to mind?
There's so much surprise in aviation every day. When you're out there, you know, you're out there at the airport, you could meet someone, you could catch up with a good old friend.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you met, suddenly you bump into each other on the same flight, right? You know, I remember in Australia, I have a very little young follower, 6-year-old. He came out with her mom to meet me, but then I left plane spotting location half an hour ago. But then there were some friendly spotter that connected him. They say, Sam is actually staying at that hotel. If you go to that hotel, Sam's going to go back in there. So he waited for me, and I actually went back to the hotel later on. I saw him in the lobby. So there's a lots of great surprises.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I can give you hundreds and hundreds of surprises with whether it's people, whether it's the flying experiences. It's just fantastic in aviation. You know, you see so much, and then people comes around and goes around in a small circle. You know, it's very unique.
I'm guessing that you get recognized quite often when you're out and about in like aviation, for example, in airports and things like that.
Yes, I do. But, you know, it is the enjoyment. I'm just like everybody here, enjoying the aviation, and I absolutely love to meet people in aviation, and I absolutely enjoy having myself around with all the people who share the same hobby. And a lot of people have met me in different locations. They can recognize, they see how passionate I am, because I got to tell you this, right? When there's an airplane near me, I get turned on badly. I'm so an AF geek. When there is nothing going on, I get bored quickly.
Yeah.
But when you have aviation, when you smell about AF gas, when you have AF geeks around, and I felt like this is so comfortable. I'm in my own circle, you know.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the video when you went to visit the power plant factory to look at how jet engines were. You look like a little kid there in a toy store. And that I think really, in order for a YouTube channel to be successful, it needs to shine through that what you're actually doing is a passion of yours, something that you honestly love to do. And I think it's so interesting to get your perspective, because you're giving the perspective from a passenger point of view, while I normally obviously come from a pilot, from flight crew point of view. We have some questions here as well. What is the most unique aircraft that you have flown so far?
I've flown on the Concorde. I've flown on the Antonov 124. I've flown the Illusion 86. I've flown about 350 times 747, and also the 707 you just mentioned. So if you look at my passenger logbook, I do have about 2,300 flights. I can tell you this, this is true to myself. Even I fly sometimes a lot of A320 and 737. There is not even a time I don't feel down. There's not even a time I don't feel excited about. So every time I go to fly, I have the same passion and I feel the same excitement. It's not because I fly a very special airplane 70. Of course, that's super exciting. Even though I fly A320, I fly, you know, regular shuttle flights or whatever domestic flight I do, I still found it very interesting. I still prefer to look out the window. And that's what people, you know, it's not because of airlines or certain this and that. It's just me. I enjoy all kind of flying. When people ask me, do you ever have a bad flight? My question is no, I've never had a bad flight. Why? It's because the inner satisfaction of me looking out the window, just enjoy riding out in the sky, is much more than the variable subjective service elements or whatsoever you concur. If you're being positive to people, people will be positive back to you. I never encounter any bad service, honestly.
Yeah, no, and that's very interesting to hear, because I'm guessing that you get to see quite a lot of differences as you're traveling around the globe. Is there any certain regions that you prefer to fly in, or pretty much it's like it doesn't really matter where you go over the globe, it's equally?
No, it's a global thing. As you know, aviation is connecting the globe. There are so many places in the world you can make interesting content. The only problem with me is that I would like to visit a lot more places than I physically can be at. So still haven't visited South America that often. And I visited South America last time was 2013. So it's been about 7 years since I've been to South America, which I'm actually really looking forward to go back maybe this later on when the COVID-19 subside. And again, Africa is also very interesting. There's lots of bush pilots flying in Africa. There's lots of elements of aviation I still haven't covered, which I still need to, dig into further to bring that to our audience. There's that responsibility of me. I want to show you every level of aviation, commercial aviation. This is where I love.
See, what we need to do is we need to form a team, a kind of a Top Gear team, but we'll do it in the aircraft instead, and go around to check it. You'll have it from your point of view, me from my point of view. That will be an absolute. I think that will be something that people would enjoy.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, we're looking forward to collaborating something with you, perhaps going out to fly with you as well, and to see what we can come up with.
Yeah, let's see what we can come up with. Let's see. You have recently taken up flying yourself, haven't you?
Right. So this is something I just announced to some of the fans yesterday on my Instagram. During the downtime of COVID-19, I'm in the U.S. here. The aviation flight school is still open for business, so I'm using that downtime to start my PPL. Which is something I always wanted to do, actually. It's a natural progression of the love of aviation. When you started like plane spotting, then you started flying into different models of airplane. That really generated a lot of curiosity of you about the flying. And so I'm hoping to, to use the next 2 months, my time wisely to get maybe up to a level to start my solo flying, hopefully after 2 months. And eventually to hold that PPL license on my hand here is something I just want to, it's a skill to acquire for myself. It's not something because I want to be a commercial pilot like yourself, but I just want to see how far I can go. I want to take a step at a time, slowly see if I am able to command on an airplane. It's not an easy job either, No. A lot of people failed as well, so it's not saying I will get it for sure, but I just want to see how far I can go in this journey.
And I'm sure that because it does give a completely different perspective when you do realize the hardship surrounding it. But I can tell you right now that the day that you do your first solo, you will never ever forget. It doesn't matter when you do it, what age you do it. That first solo, when the instructor gets out of the aircraft and you're left alone and you have to take care of it.
Whoa.
And when you've rotated, like you're going to be really, really concentrated as you're taxiing out and everything. You put the power on and you watch the speed building, and then you rotate. But at some point, about a couple of 100 feet up in the air, you realize that you're sitting there by yourself and no one except you can bring the aircraft down on the ground again. And that feeling we will never ever forget. It will, if you haven't, like, I know that your flame is already lit, but after that you will never get out of it. I can promise you that. It's also terrifying.
Do you remember the old there was a movie made in the 70s called The Airplane? There's a Captain Otto, which is the blow-up doll.
Yeah.
Remember this blow-up doll sitting next to you? Pretend he's the captain and fly the plane when no one else knows how to fly a plane. Yep. Hopefully, I'm not going to be in that situation.
No, you are. You're going to feel it, and I'm looking forward to your post when you've done your first solo. It's going to be really.
Likewise, I'd like to share with you and share with everybody here as it goes.
Yeah.
And I love to get feedback because a lot of you here watching it are actually private pilots or commercial that a lot of you will give me good inspiration and give me some feedback as well. And I think it's also like when I start, once I get deeper into flying, and I really got to understand aviation a bit more on the technical side of things.
No, that there's no question about it. So we see there's loads of super chat questions here. Obviously, I have so many questions to ask you, but I know that your time is limited. People are asking if we will fly together. We've already talked about that a little bit. We'll see what we can do.
Definitely.
It will be
definitely. There's a lot of YouTubers I like to collaborate. It's just difficult to find the right time where we are, because we're all over the different part of the world. Everyone's flying different where, so it's hard to find the right thing. But we should look into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see here. Tamsak is asking, "Hi Petra and Sam from Thailand. Do you have any ideas on the sustainable future changes in aviation industry after COVID-19 crisis? Should we gain more interest in cargo carrier rather than only relying on passenger transport? What's your view on that? What do you think is going to happen once we come out of this?"
If you look at my blog, samchui.com, today I published an article about the future of post-COVID-19 travel would be like. I think a lot of things going to be touchless. It won't be. You see right now during the COVID-19, they removed all the in-flight magazine, the seat pockets. They suspended serving meals and other, or they rather serve packaged meals. The whole idea before a vaccine comes out is to maintain minimum touch. You might see in-flight janitor, in-flight cleaner to constantly clean the toilet door handle, the high touch area. You would see social distancing on board as well. You would also see when you check in, they encourage you to do online check-in at home and then try to use the kiosks to scan without touching here and there. So I believe the COVID-19, we all learned a lesson. And to avoid that, to avoid the spread, that you and I, everybody will have a part to play to maintain that public safety of flying. So there will be changes. Definitely there will be changes. And sadly, there might be some service adjustment on that as well. It will remain interesting to see how airlines come up with their creativities to solve problem. We know aviation is very creative as well. Right now, cargo is the king. And you see all the passenger plane either got their seats removed or they have nets on the seats with cargo sit on top of the seats. So aviation is weathering through so much storm. I'm sure there will be other creative solution coming to play. We also have seen a lot of new design of seats with a cover around your head here in each seat. So if you you won't, if you sneeze or something, at least there are some barriers or covers. So it is an interesting evolution that we are all in right to watch how this thing will play out.
Yeah, because like we know what happened to safety and security after 9/11. That before 9/11 it was a completely different world, and after 9/11 the security safety was everything, and people had to take their shoes off, and they had the restrictions on fluids and things like that. And this is another one of those turning points where unfortunately it's probably going to be a little bit more of a pain again to fly. However, there are things like this, like you're saying, that we probably should have changed already, and this has kind of sped things up. I mean, we in my airline have been checking boarding cards, for example, still when people are boarding. That is going to disappear. That you can be absolutely sure of. And I'm a little bit curious about the whole redesign of seats, obviously because of the need for evacuation. I can see that being a major problem with putting up screens around seats. But I am sure that it's going to be something that the question is about social distancing on board an aircraft. That is always going to be a very, very tricky thing to do.
It will be really interesting, and from an airline perspective, they might hit the airline bottom line, because if you have your middle seat remain empty, you lose maybe about 33% of the revenue of the whole plane. Imagine you have, single aisle, 2 middle seats blocked on each, and then for lots of low-cost airlines, it might not be profitable to run with that kind of low factor. So this is why I'm saying it will remain interesting. The health and the thermal scale, all the health check will be very, very essential before boarding to make sure that passenger is safe and help to fly.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I think that the biggest emphasis is going to be on that. It's going to be on screening. It's going to be on crew training. It's going to be on general facilities, masks, things like that, in order to make sure that we can control it as much as possible. Because there's other things as well. I mean, if you're going to socially distance as you're boarding an aircraft, you will extend the boarding times and the turnaround times with a lot of time. And if we're looking at, like you're saying, take away 33% of the seats and then extend the turnaround times, well, then that is kind of what the low fare airlines, that's where they have their advantage. That's where they're making their money. So there's definitely going to be some real challenges on top of that. I think we're going to see different airlines doing this differently. And it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people are just saying that it's awesome to see us two together, which I think as well. So I highly agree with that. So Sam, if you could own any one plane of your choice, which aircraft would that be? Own it.
Wow, that's actually a new question. Haven't had this question before. Very interesting one.
Wow,
I now feels like a kid in the supermarket shopping in the lollyland here. If it's not an issue, if I have all the money, I would like to own one airplane model of each of all the manufacturers around the world. Only one, right? Yeah. What would be your answer, man?
Like it's very different.
Let me hear you out first. Let me think about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it depends a little bit. If I was going to own a private jet, it would probably be something like the Gulfstream 650. I don't know. Have you been on that one?
No, maybe not Gulf 650. I've been on the older Gulfstream 5.
Yeah, well, like something with that.
I've been actually inside a 650. I haven't flown it. I've been in the demo, seeing how high the altitude and speed it can attain. Yeah. And the performance is ultra long ranger is sleek.
Yeah, because it's a beautiful aircraft. It has you like you said, you're flying at altitudes where other aircraft cannot fly. The avionics is beautiful. Seen from a pilot point of view, it's kind of top notch. You don't get it better than that. So if I'm going to own something and I'm going to take my family and friends on trips, that's probably what I would go for. However,
I think for myself it would be a 747. This is the airplane I grew up with. It's really the first time when I flew the 747, it blew my mind. Just like they transformed the world, the way they travel. I always love the bubble, the upper deck, the nose on the 47. It's just beautiful airplane to watch, flying it as well. So yeah, if I can have the money, of course I'd like to own a 747.
I mean, it is the queen of the sky. It's always going to be. The Airbus 380 never really came close to it when it comes to the utter charisma that aircraft have.
But this is another sad thing about the 380. It's a very comfortable airplane, spacious airplane. One of the favorite for passenger comfort. But this is the thing, I've been talking to a lot of aviation analysts and industry contacts. The real question is, after COVID-19, how many A380 will remain flying in the sky? Yeah. Maybe more than half will be parked, because right now it's really hard to make money on A320, let alone flying a monster-sized A380. Yeah. So that remains very interesting to see airlines like Emirates, which have hundreds of A380. Yeah. How are they going to adjust their operation? They already restructuring and downsizing the fleets, in a sense, downsizing smaller planes to buy into A350 and 787 in the future. From 2023, these new airplane, A330neo, A350, and 787 is going to come to Emirates. Yeah. The COVID-19 became a catalyst for any fuel-inefficient airplane. For a 4-engine airplane, A340, 600, 747, A380 is on the way out, which is really sad because it became the biggest aviation farewell party.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't agree more. I've flown on the A380. It was extremely quiet, very comfortable to fly on as a passenger. But it was built on a model that just never ever came by. The bespoke hub model that it was kind of calculated on when they started producing it never really happened. And now after this, just like you're saying, it's going to be very hard to compete with the likes of the A350. Have you? I guess you have flown on the A350. I think you even did video on that, didn't you?
That's right. That's right. I've flown quite a few of those.
Yeah,
So let's move on to the benefit of other viewers if they still have lots of questions. I don't know. They have lots of questions for you, I believe, as well. But I would love to answer a couple more while we can here.
Yeah, absolutely. I see. Because your internet is a little bit sketchy. They're complaining a little bit about the sound. I don't know why that is though. Aloha, Peter and Sam from Maui, Hawaii. Sam's channel inspired me to fly on ANA's A380-800 business class round trip from NHL to NRT. It was an incredible experience. I'll never forget. Mahalo to both of you for all that you do. So not much of a question, but more of a shout out to you, Sam, for what you do.
I'm not that far from you. I'm in the West Coast, U.S., and I always enjoy going to Hawaii. It's just one of the coolest places. The weather is great. The food is great. Chill, great surfing. That's not that I can surf though.
Yeah.
Nice beaches. The 380 ANA flying Honu is one of those theme airplanes. Everything inside is decorated, themed.
Yeah.
The Japanese are great at this, and it's really a flying attraction. It's a destination of its own. It's only doing Hawaii and Narita. So if you want to fly that plane, you have to go to Hawaii.
Cool. Listen, I would love to do what you're doing, as in flying around the world and trying out different both destinations and aircraft types and stuff. Sounds like paradise to me. But I have a question according to that, and that is, how do you balance family and your flying passion?
Well, right now this is my full-time job. It's not really much of a job, I would say. It's a full-time passion. So I used to have a harder problem and to balance because I used to have a full-day job in banking, and then maybe my weekend or be going to flights. So there's very little time for my family. So I am very spoiled in that sense. But right now, I have more time on hand. I'm flexible. I can work anytime over the internet, anywhere I want.
I know.
And apart from traveling, I'll be doing probably say 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. So 2 weeks on, I do intensive traveling, collecting all the contents, creating all the videos, going around, Europe or all that, going around in one region, and then I'll go home and chillax for 2 weeks. So right now, I think I have struck a better balance because I'm in my own control of things. I'm no longer need to wake up at 9, go to work 9 to 5, and things like that.
Yeah. Now that's brilliant to hear. And I mean, your YouTube channel is absolutely huge now. It's close to 2.1 million. So like, I'm so happy to hear that you can actually get a sustained living out of that. That is brilliant, and it's definitely like a target of mine as well.
And again, it is thanks to everybody's support, allowing me to show my passion through my videos, and they're not really that great, honestly. I still feel like there's a lot of room to improve, but the key thing is I'm out here to share that experience. Yeah. And I recognize it's important to have a lot of videos of aviation out there for the future people to just wherever they get inspired, they learn from it, and just to have pure entertainment as well. During the downtime like this, it is my duty and my responsibility here for the love of aviation to keep people going in difficult time like this.
Yeah, no, and that goes for both of us. I mean, I spend obviously I'm locked into my house, so I have nothing else to do. But I spend my time now trying to come up with good aviation content in order to share it with people, because I know there's a lot of people that's sitting here waiting for example, for you to be able to, for me to be able to do a collab with you, an interview like this. This is something that brightens people's day, which I'm so happy to hear about. Let's see, there's more questions here from Ian Gill. Having flown on an Airbus 380 and then follow on a flight on a 777-300, the loss of a 380 is sad. So yeah, so he liked the 380 better than the 777. And I've flown. Let's see, I have to remember now if I've flown on a 777 as a passenger or not. I think I have, but I remember that I did like the 380. Let's see if I don't want to miss any super chat questions for you here before you have to go. Yeah, people are still asking which is the most unique aircraft that you've flown, but we've talked that one. But which business jet would you prefer if you had to choose a business jet?
Oh, BizJets here. That's also interesting. My choice will be between the three-engine Dassault Falcon 8X
That's beautiful.
or a Gulfstream G650.
Yeah.
I think because I like three-engine airplane, that design was always something. I've flown the AX. I think it's incredibly quiet, and it's also a good performer for short airfield to take off from lots of interesting places in France and Switzerland in the ski airfields. It can take off, and yeah, G650. I haven't flown the Global Express 500 because that's also some phenomenal airplane out there. I wouldn't go greedy because I know there are bigger private jets like BBJs and ACJs and you name it. You can have a 747 777 private jet as well.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
What's interesting in the horizon is the supersonic private jets. It's called Ariane. It's actually a Boeing affiliated. Ariane is affiliated with Boeing. They're co-developing the next supersonic private jets, which is actually, there's a couple of supersonic manufacturers out there competing with this project, competing with similar. One is Boom. One is Boom doing passenger airplanes, 150-seater. But Ariane is targeting the private jet sector. It has a bigger chance to succeed. So it will be interesting to see a couple years whether there will be a supersonic private jet out there.
Yeah, especially now. If the oil prices keeps themselves at a low level, it's going to make supersonic travel potentially even doable, even for the almost super rich. So I think you're right. I think that we are going to see supersonic passenger travel quite soon again. Well, it all depends on what happens to this pandemic, obviously, but we are going to see some really cool things coming out of these manufacturers for sure. They're also asking here, what plane are you training on? Are you training on a Cessna or a Piper or a Diamond or?
This is also very interesting. I used to always wanted to fly on a Cessna because I've been in the co-pilot seats flying with my buddy many times on Cessna 172, so I'm kind of familiar. But when I did my orientation or introductory flights recently with the flight school, they have a South African airplane. It's called Sling, SLING, Sling. And there's about 400 Sling in the world, so it's not very common. But when you step inside a Sling, it's actually like a wide body of a trainer airplane. It sits two on same as Cessna, but it doesn't feel as cramped. But what I like about it is the glass cockpits. Everything is touch screen, just like an iPad. I'm releasing this video on coming Saturday, so everybody can see how the performance of Sling, because we did some crazy flying low over the Pacific Ocean at less than 100 feet. We did some crazy climb, and there will be, a lot of cool footage over Victorville, over the airplane graveyard, over the airplane storage. Right now, whole LA looks dead. There's no one on the beach.
Yeah.
No one walking on the streets. It feels like a dead town, and you're flying out there, so you really see it from the top. The freeway is pretty empty, so it's a very interesting time flying this airplane around.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I will show this video, and along the way I will learn. And obviously I like to learn more on just the Sling. Maybe use the Sling as a start. And the Sling Flight Academy I go to has twin-engine airplane. I can maybe get a PPL on twin-engine airplane. Then you can go further if you want to. So they have an Italian-made Tacnam, a twin-engine airplane. Looks rather funny shape. So so there's a lot of choices out there. And I would like to learn Cessna eventually once I get my PPL first.
Yeah, no, the Sling. I think we used to have a Sling connected to my old flight school as well, and I think that was for aerobatics, because I think it's aerobatic approved.
Yeah, it has a joystick instead of a yoke, so you can just pull up the stick and go high and and just like an aerobatic plane. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's see. Someone's asking here. Massive Trip Report is asking, will you ever fly on the Aer Lingus A321 Neo?
Yes, I would love to try a narrow body, a single aisle airplane across the Atlantic, which I haven't. There are lots of airlines I wanted to try, like Aer Lingus and SAS, Scandinavian, and they got also A350 there. So because I live in the Middle East. I generally, travel all over, but very rarely. I haven't touched Ireland and Scandinavia so far. So this will be in the plan of the future for sure. And then also with your airline flying together with you.
Perfect. Well, that's good. Since I'm Swedish, and I work quite frequently in Ireland, maybe that is something that we can bridge. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. It might be along the way to fly Aer Lingus in Scandinavia, and we can fly with you.
Yes, absolutely. Have you ever tried to fly the DC-3?
I've flown DC-3 a couple times, actually. DC-3, there's probably 10,000 made. There's still quite a bit of DC-3 around, generally preserved in historian societies, things like that. I've flown one in Australia. I've flown one in, I think I've flown one in the US as well. In South Africa, they also have this kind of historical plane, which they conduct like a regular monthly flights. It's like a sightseeing flight. It's really the first generation of flying the turboprop before the jet age. So yeah, I really encourage people to go out of your way to research to see if you can still find to fly a DC-3, a DC-4, or DC-6, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we should get you in contact with Mike McBrien that has the Plane Saver YouTube channel, because he has loads of those old birds that's flying up in Alaska.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd love to be in contact. See, this is why I'm in aviation. Everybody connect each other, and this is a beautiful world. Everyone share with the aviation stuff around, sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to check his channel out later on, because he does some crazy stuff about those. And anyway, guys, if you want to see now Sam's attempt on flying the sling, I have the address down to his channel here in the description of the video for those of you who's not already following Sam. So make sure that you check that out. So was it next Saturday that you're releasing that video? Was it?
Yeah. So lots of pressure is already on the shoulder right now. We filmed about 400 gigabytes of footage, and it's trying to melt down to a 15 minutes video. So a lot of work to do, but this is what I love to do, sharing that experience with you. And then you will see a lot more sling flying once I progress in my license.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Now we have one here. Madhouse. Let's see. Madhusadan is asking, what's your view on the 737 MAX? That's something that I've kind of stopped talking about on my channel, but you're free to say what you think.
Well, first of all, I am not a pilot. I'm not really a technician on the technical side of things. What I'm interested to see, and Boeing will be showing everybody, I believe, from their communication, is they will show you the scenario before the MCAS, and now once the MCAS is fixed, they will show you different scenarios. Maybe what my last conversation with Boeing is saying, once the MCAS is fixed right now, the software is updated, you will not see any difference. They will replay you with scenarios. They will retrain all the pilots, obviously. My belief is this airplane will go through such scrutiny with all the safety aviation authority in the world. No one's going to left anything unturned until we get to the bottom and make sure this plane is safely returned to the sky.
Yeah.
You got to remember, the MAX is the first airplane that social media brought this airplane down before the UK and Australia and Chinese Civil Aviation Authority put a ban on it, because there were people were really concerned and crying out loud in social media about the MAX. Then the noise became too strong.
Yeah.
The aviation authority acted upon that. Yeah. And of course, FAA and Canadian TSA was the last two reluctantly accepted the fate. So it was really, we're in a global social media age that everybody's voice matters and counts.
Yeah.
So this airplane has so much eyes on it. It has to be safely returned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there will be no chance for the MAX ever again. So the only way for MAX to return is to proven the safety to not only the safety authority, but to the mass general traveling public, the pilots, the crew, and everybody involved.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the videos that I did about the MAX, when the question was, will it ever come back? I always said the same. Like, listen, there is they have to fix this. They have to get it right, and it's going to be, once it is released, it's going to be one of the safest aircraft around, because there's not a single screw that will be left unturned on this, neither by Boeing, but not by the FAA either, who have all of the attention on them as well, because they are going to be the ones that are going to lift the thing first.
I think what happened is also very unlucky and very tragic, to have 2 crashes in such a short time. I think it's a lesson to be learned, not only for Boeing, for the airlines involved, for the safety authority, for all the pilots. It's a progressive lesson we learn from the new airplane model, and definitely no more cutting corners.
No, and that's exactly. I think Boeing right now, you can see, like you were saying, when it comes to social media, as in everyone had their eyes on it. And around Christmas, there was a headline every day in every newspaper. There was something about Boeing. If it wasn't about the Max, it was about the 777X, or it was something else. And they were just non-stop onslaught with things. Now, since COVID-19 has taken over, and it's the only thing that people are talking about, they've faded out of view, which I think kind of suits them quite well, because now they can concentrate on actually getting all of the test flights done and getting the certification done right, without having, like you say, social media hanging over their heads.
Interesting, like concurring to your point, is that the COVID-19 is actually going to cost Boeing and any other airplane manufacturer like Airbus as well, much bigger than the Max cost Boeing.
Oh yeah.
People will already freak out when the cost of Max, but now the COVID-19, with all the cancellation orders, all the postponement of production, and the future uncertainty of the large body 777X, this actually, it will be costing Boeing much more than the Max alone.
Yeah.
So this is a much bigger issue to tackle, but Boeing obviously have complicated issue with Max already on top of that. So, really you have to detangle this mess.
Yeah. And that brings me to another question that I got actually earlier on the chat before this even started, was that if you were going to go in and buy shares in the airline industry right now, is there anything that you would think about? Like I always avoid telling people what they should buy, but do you have any tips to come with?
First of all, I would not advise anyone to buy any airline shares, because an airline turned billionaire into millionaire, or you turn billionaire into bankruptcy. How many airlines down the drain we have seen? Pan Am was down the drain. TWA was down the drain. It's unthinkable. If you say 30 years ago, Pan Am will go to bankrupt, or TWA will go to bankrupt, and they did.
Yeah.
And it's something like, the airline industry, and it's like a circle. It comes and goes. There's upswings, downswings. You might want to buy the stock in a very low price and hoping there's an upswing, but you don't know. The uncertainty are huge in the future. There are probably better stocks to buy out there. Just speaking from my past, investment industry experience, there are pharmaceutical sector, there are financial sector, there are many other sector, energy sector, the way you look at. Airline industry are cyclical, very volatile.
Yeah.
Think again before you buy, because it's very volatile right now, especially COVID-19. We don't know. Nobody has an answer how this will play out. And the travel, people are predicting 2020 is going to be a write-off. So you're looking at 2021, maybe a slow recovery. It's not going to be a V-shaped recovery. It's going to be a slow U-shaped recovery, Maybe by 2023, we'll be back to the level it was in February,
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that it's worth mentioning to people that are trying or even thinking about buying any kind of stocks, is that it is, if you go in, sure, but it's a gamble. Be ready to lose money rather than win money. You can win big if you're lucky, but dude, the airline industry, like you say, every 10 years at least, there's some kind of cataclysm where everything falls off. And when things start going wrong in the general economy, it's always the airlines that suffer first, because that's the luxury travel, that's the business travel, that's all of that, which is the first thing that people save on. So you could see it after 9/11, you could see it after 2008, you can see it now. So it is extremely volatile to go into. It's better to, like you said, go somewhere safe if it's safe. If it's not money that you want to gamble with, basically. It can be a fun ride, but be aware that it is a fun ride in that case. Let's see, we have another super chat question here. Sam, while flying you have plenty of time. You spend it with flight attendants, passengers, but when you sit down, what are you thinking about? What's on your mind?
You know, when I sit down, I do a lot of different things. You know, first I relax, I enjoy. I might put on my headset, listen to music. Of course, I sit there and eat as well, just like everybody else, and I watch the IFE from time to time. And of course, if I'm tired, I recline my seats and take a nap. So I've done pretty much everything you could possibly do there when you're sitting down. I did a lot of daydreaming. I even planned my strategy. I do the work during some long flights. I do editing on my video as well. I did that as well. You know, really, you could think about everything, what you can do in the air, then you can do while you're sitting down. It's just, you know, I've done so much.
Yeah.
But I think the most enjoyable thing I do out there is actually completely relaxed, feeling disconnected. You know, I'd rather not to use the Wi-Fi. I'd rather turn off the Wi-Fi and then I don't get any message to disturb me, to enjoy the pure level of flying at flight level 39,000, you know, is something, you know, looking out the window. Sometimes you might see jet streams. Sometimes you see contrail passes. It's something you don't do on the ground. So use that opportunity to enjoy more, because this is something different.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting at home every day, right? So this is something very different.
Word, man. On the question there that I had, actually, because I see you when you go and you speak to flight attendants on board, and you sometimes even get access to cockpit to film and things like that. Is that something you've gotten from, like, you've talked to the airline ahead of time that you're going to go on this flight, and they have agreed to let you film and things like that? Because I know that some airlines are very strict about any kind of filming whatsoever inside an aircraft.
It's a variety of case. There's no fixed answer I can on that. Sometimes I know people in the airline because I've been in the circle for 20 some years. I built up thousands of contacts. So sometimes some airlines even invite me, say, Sam, whenever you next time travel with us, come and do a video with us, just showcase our experience. So it comes with a variety of angles. Sometimes nobody knows me. I did video of myself, but somehow halfway, they found out, and I explained to them, and they liked it. They actually turned really friendly to me and say, wow, you're doing this. And I showed them my Instagram or my YouTube channel, and they're into it.
Yeah.
And they actually absolutely want it. And then sometimes you see me after landing, I go to the cockpit and, you know, interview the pilots and all that. So sometimes the airlines knows me. I'm coming ahead of time to do that as well. But a lot of times, nobody knows me. In the smaller carriers, I just, you know, last minute, I have a ticket booked on it, and then there was no planning at all. But I can still turn into a great content, because it's every different situation. You use the most out of every situation you've got, and turn that into something positive. Turn that opportunity and grab it in your hand to do something. That's the most important thing. You know, the important thing, yes, it's good to have access as well. But how do you build that access? It's all relationship building. It's all about how you see that opportunity and seize control of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm guessing that most airlines will actually pounce on having the chance of having someone who is so generally positive about aviation doing something on board their aircraft. Because, I mean, you reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions of viewers, which is a fantastic asset for any airline out there, especially when you have...
But here is something I want to say is like that, is because I love airlines, and, you know, people think that airlines pay me to do videos, but actually it's the other way around. Not only I pay for my tickets, I pay the airline. Think about it. I give them a free promotion. I try my best. I spend 12 hours editing my video, try to showcase the very best side of the aviation. Not because I'm biased or anything, not because I love that airline. It's just because I want to show what it's exactly like to myself, the genuine travel experience to myself. And a lot of people say, Sam, you never seem to complain about your flights. And I can tell you that I don't complain. I don't have negative thoughts about it. I make constructive feedback. You know, when things are not good, people can see it. People are not stupid. People are not dumb on the screen.
No.
They can see what's happening in your video. What I can say is I can give you a constructive feedback for the long term, because a lot of things happen on only one occasion. If you filmed it in that occasion, it's so unfair to get caught, you know, and then catch someone in that occasion and publish it, making millions of negative headlines. I don't want that. I love airlines. I love the industry. I genuinely think most people work for a good cause in the industry. I want to do my very best to showcase my best experience. But if you look through my video, I always give very constructive feedback when things are not that up to scratch. And you have to think from two sides of things. There's always two sides, right? In everything, there's always left and right. So you have to think both sides.
Yeah.
And because I have such a big following, I have to be very careful in what I say. I can't just say things very spoiled, very taken for granted, very selfishly. I have to say things rather balanced in a way, but the smart viewers can figure out.
Yeah.
They can see the video, they can feel the atmosphere.
And I completely agree. That's the kind of ethos that I've been running through my channel from when I started, is that you need to be positive and constructive. If you are those things, it's very hard to get angry with you, and that's why I get very little hate on my channel at all. Because you truly, if you go in truly trying to help people, and that goes for you as well, as if you're giving an honest review of what you feel about going on this, what the positives, what's the negative, what could be better, people will feel that, and it will not look like a hate piece. It will not be that we see so much about in social media, really, when people are getting, especially Twitter, I should say, but where people are just trying to throw stuff at each other in order to get as much attention as possible. I don't understand, and I don't write I don't write into that.
It's insane. It's really insane, these keyboard warriors. But look, again, that negativity is not going to let you grow. I rather take a positive approach, focus on how you're going to improve your content. And and I don't like those very negative, sensationalized content thing, because at the end there's no substance.
No.
People see what you are. People follow you for a reason, and at the end, that if you consistently put up with poor content, people's going to leave you.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And in times like this as well, people need to have something positive to hold on to. That was one of the pure reasons why I started my YouTube channel in the first place. I didn't feel that there was a objective, constructive channel out there. There was a lot of pilots available on the internet. There was a lot of chat rooms and stuff. But if you went to one of those chat rooms, and let's say you were a 14, 15-year-old who wanted to become a pilot, the only thing you met was pilots who wanted to vent their frustration with the industry, because the happy pilots, they weren't on the internet. They were home with their families, so they were out flying general aviation. They didn't go to the internet to vent. Only the negative people did, which is why I started this channel in the first place. So I completely agree with what you're saying. I'm going to let you go soon, because you've been here way longer than what what you thought you were going to be. So we have two questions from Matty Crayon here. Do you both film and edit your own videos? And would you like to see a restored Heritage Concorde fly again?
It's to both of you and me, right? Maybe you take the lead and answer that,
okay.
And I will answer as well.
Right. So I do. And you can kind of tell, because I'm sitting in my own sofa at home and stuff. The only thing that I do, I film. I write down my script first about what I want to talk about. It's generally something that's happening right now in the aviation industry, and there's a lot of people who want to have an answer from a pilot point of view. So I write that down, I research it, and then I do the video, I edit it, and if I need any graphics, then I have a fantastic graphic designer called Dominic, who's doing that for me. And that's the only thing that I don't do myself. The rest of the final editing and everything I do myself. And in case, if I want to have a Concorde flying again, of course I would love to see a restored Concorde fly again. I don't think that we will ever see it in commercial air traffic, and we shouldn't really, because we're living in a planet that doesn't need that. But having one restored to fly on air shows and stuff, absolutely. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. So my answer is pretty much the same as Peter here, that I started off myself editing everything, but as my workload increased, I take on two part-time editors helping me, and one of them is Fly Rosta from Czech Republic. He's absolutely a TV producer, a TV director, quality editor as well. So he's been editing a lot of work. After I do my round of cleaning footage and editing, then I will actually give it to one of the editors to add on the final touches and music. A lot of times I still do my own editing just to have a bit more control as well. So as things get bigger and bigger for me, yes, I do now have quite a small team of people helping me, which I'm very grateful of their creativities and together making this great. For the Concorde, yeah, ditto. And I believe the future will come soon. The future, there will be a supersonic jet, whether it's in business jet or commercial jets. There will be some sort of supersonic flying, I believe.
Yeah, I definitely.
Okay, so I'm almost an hour on your channel. Maybe we can take one last question because I've taken a lot of publicity away from you, Peter. It's your channel, and I've been doing 60-minute Q&A on your channel now, and I've let a lot of followers. I'm sure they have questions for you as well. So maybe I'll take one last one, and I will leave you to continue the live with your followers.
Yeah, Sam, thank you very much. I'm going to see here. There is the last one here. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that I don't make anyone disappointed.
Make a very interesting question. Very controversial. Very interesting. Yeah. I'll give you a good answer.
Something that will take you through another 20 minutes of answering it. Yeah. No, I'm going to make it a straightforward one.
I love aviation. I can sit here and talking for hours.
I know. I'm going to take one that is from the super chat here. So I feel like I'm obligated to ask you. I have a feeling that I know what the answer is going to be, but can you name 3 favorite airlines?
Emirates, Singapore.
Emirates,
the last one's a bit tricky one because I always have these 2 on my list.
Okay, you said because
the last one I have to give you like a 5 in a row because the top 2 I always have top 2. Then there's a couple ones like Qantas, ANA, Etihad, Air France, and United. These are on the same level, on the second level. So if you're top 3, I can give you actually a bit more than 3, right? But Emirates and Singapore is always something that I always love and having extreme pleasure flying these airlines out of. But then having said that, how many of you remember I enjoy flying massively on Iran Air, on Air Zimbabwe, on Air Koryo from North Korea, on various Russian airliners. These airliners are super AvGeek friendly. That's only for AvGeeks you will enjoy flying their super old airplane. So it's not only the first-rated airline, Emirates or Singapore. I mean, these airlines are only AvGeeks wanting to fly because they're old planes. They're maybe some people perceive them as dangerous, but then there's a perfect appeal to the AvGeek. Yeah. The next one this year I want to fly is Cubana.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I saw it when I was watching your video there when you were flying the 707 and they started chanting like Arabic prayer during the takeoff. I thought that you'd really need to be an AvGeek to appreciate sitting in that old aircraft with that backdrop. That was really awesome.
People are very lucky. Think about this, their first flights ever in their life.
Yeah.
They never flown before. The first flight they hit was a 707. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Hopefully some of them are watching that video I made so they will remember what they did on that flight behind me.
Sam, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. Thank you for your time and for all of the valuable answers that you have made. I hope to see you here again in one form or another. We'll keep in contact. And if you want to say a few last words before I leave you for the evening, and I'll continue with the questions here.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to fly with you one day, and let's be in touch. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And stay safe.
Take care, Sam. Bye.
All right, bye for now.
All right, so that is awesome. Very cool. Let's see. I'm gonna switch back to see if we can see me back on the live screen. There we go. Oh man, so he's such a great dude. I would love to I could continue to talk with him for hours, but I have more super chat questions here, guys, that I know that you guys are anxious for me to answer. Let's see. So there was a question here that was directed straight to me. That's why I saved it for afterwards. First of all, from TCast24. Hi, Mentor. Hope that you and your family is safe. A question: how do pilots calculate during long-haul flights when to increase their altitude when the aircraft becomes lighter during flight? Well, fortunately, we are blessed with an FMC CDU, a computer that actually complete all the time is calculating our optimum altitude. And generally speaking, if you're flying in a straight line, we have to choose every 2,000 feet. Okay, so because it's an RVSM, in reduced vertical separation, minimum airspace, you switch always 2 levels unless you are changing direction. So if I'm at flight level 350, for example, and I want to climb, I have to wait until flight level 370 is my optimum level, and then when I see that Okay, that's my optimal level. Then I will contact air traffic control and I will ask them for a step climb up to flight level 370, and that's what we do. So when you're really heavy in the beginning, then maybe you can't climb higher than flight level 34350 or something, and then as the flight progresses and you burn off fuel and you become lighter and lighter, then you are able to climb, step climb as that. And also we tend to get that flight plan. So in our flight plan there are step climbs included. It's important to do that because air traffic control needs to know for their traffic flow management when an aircraft is intending more or less to climb up higher. So that's the way that works. That was a great question, by the way. Cool. Let's see. That was really fun. Thank you, Sam, from Sandra McCusker. Great to have you here, Sandra. I'll take some normal questions here as well. Do you like any of the modern jets out of Russia? Oh, that would have been a great question to ask, actually. I would have loved to see what Sam thought about that. But maybe in our next live stream, okay? We'll see when we can get Sam back here. But he's a very, very, very busy guy. He does a lot of flying, and it takes a lot of time for him to create the kind of content that he has. So I'm just really, really glad that I got to get him on the channel. And talking of which, guys, for those of you who are here now, I see there's still 1,500 of you left. There is a new great interview coming up on Wednesday, right? Have you ever heard of Mover? You know the call sign Mover? Let's see if any one of you can figure out who that is. Let's see if there's starting to come up some. Let's see. See the first one who can figure out who I'm going to have as my guest on Wednesday. I'm only going to base that on the call sign Mover. Okay. So we have some super chat questions here from GA Bristol. Hello, sorry I missed the other guy, Sam. When are you going to do that video with the engines integrated into the wing? Oh, that's a great question. Okay, then I might do that. Now I have a lot of time on my hands, so there is a possibility that I might be doing some of those more technical videos, and the integrated one is on my list to do. So I can't promise you when that's going to be, but it is a great idea for a video. So there we go. There's quite a few people here in the chat who's figured out who is going to be on here. Good. So then I think that's going to be another epic live stream. Okay. CV Lemoyne, it is. So if you haven't checked him and his YouTube channel out, you really, really should. All right. That's another one of the YouTube channels that I follow. By the way, I'm thinking about doing some videos about which YouTube channels I actually look at as well, because I think maybe that would be something that you would enjoy. But yes, CV Lemoyne, call sign Mover, is going to be on the live on Wednesday. So make sure that you're here for that one. Okay. Cruise Buddy, my first jet flight was also on a 707 in 1971. Yeah, see, that's more common. That if you were on a jet flight in 1971, then it was a bigger chance that it was on a 707 than if you flew in 2010. But that's awesome. Really, really awesome. Cool. I see the chat is going crazy here. What do you think? Would that be a good live stream to do? Do you have any more requests? Because now, since you guys have been so awesome and have been giving these suggestions to me about who I should be taking onto the live stream, and people like Sam Chui, which are really big aviation YouTubers, are actually coming in, the more people like him that comes in, the more cool people we will get. Okay, so CV Lemoyne has been on my list for ages. I'm so happy that he will come on. I have more people that's lined up behind him as well. But I would love to hear from you guys who you want me to interview. And also, you should tell people, if you're following someone who you think should be on this show, and I don't know about it, tell me, but also tell them. Go in and put comments onto their videos about you should check out, come to Mentor Live, and we want to talk to you and do whatever. That's the way that we are going to capture the really big fish out there, guys. So, have you a toy rotary dial phone behind you? It's not a toy. I love how people are crazy about this phone. Right, this is a real phone. My wife bought that for the office. She went out on eBay or whatever, and she looked for a rotary dial phone, a pink one, and she found one. So that one we can use it. The only problem though is when you start to come to these services where you need to kind of choose one star or one square or whatever to go forward. Doesn't work on that one. So as a company phone, it's not great, but it is a real phone. So more questions here. More seaplane bases for airlines in Asia. I don't think so. It could be. I don't know. I don't know how big the seaplane business actually is in Asia. That will be something that you're going to have to ask Sam. Now go to his Instagram if you are not following him. He's very, very good at answering things on the Instagram as well. So you can send him questions there. All right. So now I am seeing a lot of Captain Joe. All right. I'm guessing you guys want me to interview Captain Joe. Is that understood, right? Right. Here's the thing. Okay. I was in contact with Captain Joe. Some of you might have seen that we had some interactions about 2 years ago. But after that, I've kind of lost touch a little bit with Joe. I don't have his email. I don't have his Instagram either. For some reason, I can't see him on Instagram. And I've sent him some messages on Facebook, on Skype. Because I wanted to have him on, and I want to do maybe a combined interview together with him, a 74 gear, and maybe someone else as well, so we could have like a four time chat. So if you guys can reach out to him and say that I'm willing to do this, maybe we can get in contact with him. But without that, there's only so much that I can do, unfortunately. I think Joe has an excellent YouTube channel. I want anyone who's seen here who haven't checked out Captain Joe to do so, because he's really good technical videos, very, very sleek, very well defined. But I just cannot make magic with my knees, as we say in Sweden. Like, I cannot control things that I cannot control. So yeah, Captain Joe, if I get a hold of him and we can get him onto a live stream, that will be awesome. So bring back, yes, Captain Joe. I have like 15 Captain Joe here. Swiss 001. All right, yeah, that's another one I can reach out to. I think he is actually active in the Mentour Aviation app, so I might be able to reach him inside of the app there. Which, by the way, guys, you really, really should have gotten by now. All right, you have the download links here in the description of the video. You go to mentorpilot.com/apps. It's free to download. Go there, create your own profile. Another sad fact, all right, guys. I was fished, right? This weekend, I was working on my Facebook page. I was working on my Facebook manager. I got like a confirm email from Facebook, which was in line with what I was doing. It was obviously a scam email. I lost my password, and my Facebook page has now been stolen. It's gone. All right. There was some Vietnamese dude who took over the Facebook page, and for all I know, I've sent I've sent dozens of emails to different Facebook support emails and stuff. I have not got any response back. So for all that I know, my Facebook page is now gone. All right. And I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to probably start up a new Facebook page. It's really, really a pain in the butt, because I had like almost 38,000 followers on that. And it was one of the major communication channels I had for things like this. You know, the fact that we were doing the live together with Sam today. So the point I want to make is that I own the Mentour Aviation app. All right. It is now one of the only ways that I can communicate directly with you, except for my Instagram page. So please, if you're on here, do get the Mentour Aviation app. Once again, it's completely free to download. It won't cost you anything. You'll get chats. You'll get be able to go on technical forums. You'll get aviation news that are updated on almost an hourly basis about anything that goes on. So go in there, and that way I can send out push notifications like I did before this live stream. Like, ooh, you know, now it's only 10 minutes to go to the live stream. Make sure that you're there. And Swain Martin, yeah, he is also on. He's on the roster. You will get Swain Martin if you stay tuned. Stevie One Knievo or Baron Pilot. Stevie One Knievo, I'm going to reach out to, actually. That would be really cool. So I have more super chat questions here. I'm going a little bit behind. Nice rotary phone, yeah. Andril Morozzo, thank you very much for your super chat. I don't know, for some reason your question didn't come through. How does a plane generate lift flying at 90 degrees? Well, flying at 90 degrees, a plane always generates lift, okay? If you're flying 90 degrees up, obviously there's going to be a thrust vector needed in order to fly continuously for 90 degrees. If you are just doing it momentarily, well, then the aircraft tend to use its speed. It will flip up to 90 degrees like this. It will fly for as long as it has airspeed enough to fly over the wings and won't stall, and then it will level off. But if you're flying a fighter jet, for example, that has more thrust and it has weight, then it can actually accelerate straight up, just like a rocket, really. But the aircraft is still generating lift. It's not stalled, which is a different thing. Now, this is the reason why you have to pay close attention when you go through your aerodynamic studies. All right, it's very, very hard to technically explain it here like this more than I just did. But it's a great question. You should look into your ATPL study books. All right. Can we have a live with multi-pilots like Joe, Maria, Kelsey, and Michelle? Okay, so you want like a group chat with everyone, something that would look maybe something like this? Yeah, with 4 of us. I'll see what I can do. It almost looks like I have prepared for it, doesn't it? Hi Mentor, would you be able to make more savings if you were based in Dublin, London rather than Girona, your favorite place in Ireland? No, I'm not really. I mean, it's quite expensive to live in Dublin as well. And I love Girona. Like, I love everything about this place. I love the nature. I love the people. I love the food. I love the weather. And I have my family here, and my wife is from here, which means that we have her family is here as well. So no, I don't think that I will move away from here voluntarily. And if this crisis means that I'm going to lose my job, which is perfectly possible, anything is possible. You who have watched my my video that I did, I keep getting thumbs down. I don't know why I'm getting thumbs down. I'm really trying here, guys. Yeah, it's very annoying because the thumbs down is actually like falling down in front of me as I'm speaking here. Yeah, there we go, better. So that turned into a thumbs up instead. Anyway, so if I would lose my job, if I wouldn't be able to fly for my current airline anymore, which can happen depending on how far this crisis goes, I will still continue with what I'm doing here. I will work hard to try to give you guys as good content as possible, to update you about what's going on. I hope that if you're watching this because you're getting yourself into the industry, or maybe you're a training pilot or something like that, that you've checked out the Airline Pilot Club. Right? Because me, and especially Andy, which is my co-founder, is working hard to try to give answers to you now. We just have a new blog post out, which will answer a lot of questions in a lot of ways for you. So go. Suddenly I get like 4 thumbs down. What's that all about? Anyway, so in there, if you go to the latest blog, you go to news in the Airline Pilot Club, well then you... people are changing their thumbs up to thumbs down and stuff, then you will be able to see our latest blog post there, which is really, really important. Okay, but I will be continuing to give advice through my channel, and if I lose my job, I'm going to start to focus more on doing similar things that Sam is doing. I would go and maybe travel on certain airlines, do reviews on certain aircraft, do visits to aircraft manufacturers, things like that. And the only way for me to do that, guys, is through my Patreons. It's as easy as that. My channel does bring in some income with ads. You've seen ads through my channel. I do sponsored videos as well. That is something that I would like to do a little bit less of. I have some really great sponsors, which is Brilliant and Skillshare primarily, who's really been helpful throughout this crisis for me. Brilliant is a good example. They came in and said, like, we know that a lot of content creators are losing their sponsors now. If you need, just tell us and you can do more videos for us and stuff. That's the kind of sponsors that I will continue to support, all right? But I want to do less sponsored videos, and in order for me to do things like traveling around to see places and stuff, then I am relying heavily on my Patreon. So a huge thank you to you who are patrons out there. I know there's quite a few of you out there. You're making it possible for me to create a new type of content, which I am planning. Right now I'm in lockdown, but I am planning to do more of that interactive, going places, showing you stuff, getting a cameraman, do some proper videos as well as the ones that I do where I explain things. I want to grow the channel that way, and you guys in my Patreon crew are making that possible. So a huge thank you to you. And if you want to join, let's see, there. Just go on into to patreon.com/mentorpilot, and you can join at whatever level you want. Really, it doesn't matter. The more people I get in there, the cooler stuff I can do. So, J.A. Bristol, in a video you said reverse thrusters don't slow the plane in normal dry circumstances. Why is this? They literally provide a force that counteracts the momentum of the plane. No, I think you have misunderstood. Actually, I'm really happy that you asked that question, because I saw that question on one of my videos, and I just did not have the energy to sit and write down an answer to it. So I'm really happy that you asked this. Yes, of course it does. Okay, if you have reverse thrust, even on a dry runway, of course it's going to help you to brake the aircraft to a full stop. However, what I meant, and the way that we calculated is that the brakes on a dry runway and full contact between the tires and the runway, the brakes will do almost all of the braking. Okay, they have so huge effect that with or without reverses does not make a difference to the landing distance. Okay, so if you use reverses, you're going to stay, let's say you're going to land at 1500 meters. If you don't use reverses, you're also going to land at 1500 meters, because what's stopping the aircraft are the tires and the brakes. Okay, but the brakes, especially when we're using auto brakes, are set to a specific deceleration rate. So they will try to achieve that deceleration rate. And the more energy they have to get rid of, the hotter they will become. So if you have set a specific deceleration rate and you use reverses, the brakes will need to dissipate less energy and they will become less hot. So this goes to say that if you go in and you look really carefully on max manual braking, then you probably have a small difference in landing distance with or without thrust reversers, because on max manual you won't physically get anything more out of the brakes, and in that case the thrust reversers will probably help, but it's very, very little. So what we're saying from a performance point of view is just disregard it. If I put it into my my OPT, which I use in order to calculate the landing distance, if I do it with thrust reversers or without on a dry runway, there's no difference in the figures, and that's what Boeing is telling us. So you are absolutely right. Of course it does help, but it is the brakes who are doing all of the braking on a dry runway. But on a wet runway or on a slippery runway, then the brakes doesn't have enough friction, and then the thrust reversers become more and more important. And if you go and land on an ice skating rink, the thrust reversers is the only thing that's going to stop you. Great. Really happy that you were here to hear that, and I hope that answers your question. So, Matty Crayon, what did you think of the DA40 compared to the Cessna 172? I have been flying the 172, but flew a DA40 for video in SLC. I don't think there was much difference, except landing seemed easier. I haven't flown the DA40. I've flown the DA42, the twin engine variant of the Diamond, which was absolutely beautiful. The Cessna 172 I've flown a lot. The Cessna 150, 152, 172, 172 RG, the 182 RG, and the Cessna 340. Those are the ones that I've flown, but I've never flown the DA40. It's supposed to be a really, really good aircraft though, so I can't answer that, unfortunately. Is rudder pedals connected to nose wheel on the ground? Yes, they are. We have a limited, about 7-degree travel that we can use with nose wheel steering from the pedals. If you want more than that, then you use the tiller. Okay. Pavel Janovic. Hi, Peter from Barcelona, marshaller. Ah, cool. So we've probably seen each other. Tell us about your experience with Follow Me people. Yeah, I mean, if you're a marshaller in Barcelona, you know that most of the time that we interact with each other is only either if the guidance system is not working, or if we're on a stand where you guys are marshalling us in, like a remote stand, for example. And to be honest, in Europe, I've never had a problem with Follow Me people, with Follow Me cars, with marshallers ever. They're really high trained. They're very cautious. Very rarely do something strange. So I have the utmost respect for what you guys are doing, and for the anytime that I've had any kind of interaction with you, it's always been great. So good job. Stay safe there in Barcelona. Okay, I hope you're staying indoors, and hopefully we'll be back working together soon. So, hi, TCC. I meant, where does the lift come from when the plane is sideways? The wings are vertical. We see this in the air show with military jets. Thanks and good luck. I know that's what you mean. But the lift is there because the aircraft is actually traveling through air still. The lift vector becomes, when you're flying completely sideways, the lift vector will, if you see one of those aerobatic planes, when they're flying completely sideways, you see that they always have an angle like that as they're traveling. That's because some of the lift is actually coming down from the tailplane, from the fin. And the way that they are built is that they are so lightweight and they're so aerodynamically efficient that they can actually do that for a limited amount of time before they switch over onto the wings again. But it is extremely, like I said, it's very hard for me to sit here and explain how these different vectors work together. That's why you study aerodynamics, really. Hi, Mentor. What do you think to make a video about the aspect of polar and oceanic overflights, how it works and what different from common flight? Yeah, obviously this is a question that's coming up quite often nowadays, and since I don't have any polar experience and my aircraft is not certified to fly over polar regions, I haven't gone into that. I can start to research it for you and see what I come up with. That is possible. I just don't know if that is something that a lot of people are really interested in, or if it's just that some people are really focused on it. And I do hope that it's not because of the flat Earth thing. I really hope that that's not the reason why people are interested in it. But sure, I can have a look into it and see exactly how, for example, the IRSs are used when we overfly the poles. For example, I've flown very close to the poles, but I haven't actually flown over the poles. I have several friends who do. Who do the long haul flights from Dubai over to US, for example. Sometimes they fly straight over the pole when they do so, and the 777 is certified for polar operations, but we are not. J.A. Bristol. Oh, so it's not that they don't have any effect at all, it's just that they have that they pale in comparison to the brakes. Correct. Right. They don't have enough braking effect to show up when the brakes are working properly. That's why. But they do, of course, have an effect. If you move the thrust vector forward, they will have an effect. Absolutely. How hard has your particular airline been hit by the outbreak of the Chinese virus? Not asking you to give their name, just curious how they're faring. So, like I always say, I don't really talk about my airline. What I can say is that they're struggling just like everyone else in this virus time. All right, they are losing a lot of money every day. There's not a single airline out there who doesn't. There are some airlines that have had the possibility to move over to freight operation and been able to avail of some of the extremely high air freight prices that are out there right now. But my airline has not, so they're not doing well. However, they have a lot of money. They are a very, very financially secure company. They've done very well for themselves, and they've kept a lot of money in the bank, which means that they have the capability to fare to take financial hits for a very long time without going under, which is a very, very strong and envious position to be in right now. What we're seeing right now is that the weaker airlines, the ones that doesn't have a good bankroll, they are the ones that are having to go for government bailouts or bank bailouts or bankruptcies at a very early stage, and my airline is not there. All right, but I'm saying that there's no airline out there that is safe at the moment. It's a very, very complicated situation, and we all have to start making continue. I hope that you saw my video that I did on Friday, because at the very end of that video, the last 5 minutes or so, I had a really, really important message to give to people who are coming out into this potential recession that we're coming into, and the importance of being, resilient, of knowing what you're getting yourself into, the fact that you will probably need to try to find another job for a while, and you need to keep your skills and your knowledge fresh, right? That's going to be very, very important. So if you are in that situation, if you just left flight school or you're about to leave flight school right now, I highly recommend you to check that video. And like I said, go to the mentorpilotclub.com and check out the information that's coming out there, because it's some really, really relevant information coming out. Okay, guys, that's about it, I think. I am up to, I don't know, a very long live so far. I hope that you've enjoyed this, guys. Let's see. I'm going to take some normal questions as well. There's loads and loads of them. Joe isn't here. He has a profile picture, right? So this is someone who's pretending to be Captain Joe in the chat, is it? That's never good. Have you ever been in a plane where something went wrong? Yeah, several times. I mean, I've been flying for 18 years. There are things going wrong, not regularly, but it happens quite, now and then. So that's why we have to practice and train as much as we do. Okay, cool. Oh, this is fake. Oh, like today is not a good day for having a fake account here on the channel, guys. It really isn't. I have been struggling with people misbehaving inside of the Mentour Aviation app. I have been struggling with, obviously, my Facebook page being stolen by someone and probably deleted. I have no idea why, or is being sold off on the black market somewhere right now. And I have about 1,000 fake accounts in my name trying to defraud women on the internet. I'm getting really, really tired of that, actually. I wish that people would just try to stay decent and positive and help each other out rather than trying to destroy what other people build. But I guess that is a little bit too much to ask for nowadays. So, Petter, how much hand flying do you actually do from Career Steer? I do quite a lot. We hand fly every departure up to a certain altitude. If it's a nice weather, I fly a little bit higher than what the minimum is. And coming into Girona, beautiful weather, disconnect prior to localizer intercept, fly the whole thing down and land. So we do, in my airline, we do quite a lot of hand flying compared to other airlines, especially compared to long-haul airlines. But of course, there could always be more hand flying, and we're focusing a lot of our simulator training on hand flying at the moment because we do realize that there is a need to do some really nitty-gritty, maximum crosswind raw data approaches. But those are not the kind of things that we should be doing in the aircraft when we have 189 passengers behind those. Those are the kind of things that we do when we're in a training setting, and we can fully immerse ourselves in trying different things and practice really, really bad conditions, basically. So that is it. Let's see. That's all the super chat questions as well. I think I haven't missed anyone. If I have, I sincerely apologize. If I have missed a super chat question, well, that was another one coming now. You flew a 737 from Seattle Tacoma to Dublin. I tried that in flight sim and did not have enough fuel with full tanks, even though over the ceiling. How did you have enough fuel? We had enough fuel because we had favorable winds. They do a very, very thorough flight planning. We actually had fuel to spare. So we flew, I think we had 21 and a little bit, 21 tons something. They told us that they actually had to kind of stand and jump on the wings in order to get the last kind of fuel in. So they were filled to the brim, both the wing tanks and the center tank. And with that, we flew 10 hours, almost exactly. And when we landed in Dublin, we had about 2.8 or 2.9 tons of fuel left, which was more than 500 kilos over the minimum diversion fuel. So for us, it wasn't a problem, but it has a lot to do with temperatures and winds aloft. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the winds are not good enough, and then you have to land in Iceland and refuel and then fly on. So it's not every time that it's possible to do a non-stop delivery flight like that. Lag, much love. Thank you. And with that, I think we are going to kind of sign this out, guys. I hope that you like these collaboration live streams that I'm doing. I hope that you're taking care of yourselves, that you are safe and sound, and that you are following the directions from the healthcare professionals out there. I had the last super chat question, which is going to be the last thing I do, and then I'll sign off. So, yeah, Bristol. Thank you, man. That's very, very generous of you. Do you think they'll eventually replace conventional, like tubular-bodied aircraft with flying integrated wing? I don't think they will, because aesthetically conventional aircraft look like birds and we're most attracted to things that resemble nature. Never say never. There are some fundamental problems with flying, with doing, flying wings. I did a video about that. For example, the fact that you will not be sitting close to the center of gravity. It's going to make it potentially a little bit nasty to sit further out, away from the center of the aircraft. There are problems with gates. There are problems with the way that aircraft are designed as well. So I think it's going to take a while before we see a radically different design. I think basically a radically different design is going to come from a radically different engine. If they come up with something, an engine type that is extremely efficient but only can be fitted under the aircraft or whatever, or over it, and it's much, much bigger, well then maybe they will have to reconfigure the way that the aircraft looks based on that. But I don't really see them changing the entire body of the aircraft in order to save another 3, 4, 5% of fuel efficiency. There will have to be something that is really, really substantial for that to come. And Dmitry Tankov, thank you. A thank you note. I hope that this unfortunate situation will end sooner than later and we all can return to normal. Please keep doing your brilliant work, Peter. Dmitry, thank you very much. It is really lovely to hear that you guys are appreciating it. Like I said, come with more suggestions. Now get the Mentour Aviation app, because obviously you can't message me on Facebook anymore. So get that. Send me your request for who you want me to interview. I have a few really, really cool people lined up for the coming interviews. All right. So on that note, have a fantastic evening or day or morning, wherever you are out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.